Hey guys, Bernard here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you once again for joining me. I am excited to be back with you guys. I am excited to see all you newcomers. Hi, and for those that are returning, hey, it's good to see you again. This episode of Pop Talk will be dedicated to three men: Kanye, R. Kelly, and Nas. There's a lot to cover with Kanye. He did a TMZ live interview, and I have so many thoughts. Actually, on my Facebook, I did some live streaming of that interview with him on TMZ. I also did a portion on my Instagram as well. So you guys need to be following me on all my social media platforms, Bernard TV, across the board. But I also put on my Facebook that I have so many thoughts about this interview, and I really just need to gather them all together before I just talk. I watched the interview again. I recorded it once I realized that it was live and it was just Kanye. I was like, oh, hit record. I really wanted to get all of the details and to be able to decipher and pick through all of the stuff because there was a lot there. So first, I want to start off by the comment that has put everybody in an uproar, including me, because I was quite offended. And I think at that point it was very difficult for you to decipher anything else that he said, because the statement about for 400 years slavery existed, at that point it's a choice. Okay, sir. So here's the thing about that statement that is really destructive, because not only is this coming from someone that people look up to and has a lot of influence and power, and spewing that kind of untrue narrative does do something to the culture, and it also can act as it can act as an agent of changing and rewriting the culture, right? Because right now in schools, children are being taught that slaves were brought here for a better life. So for him to align himself with that incorrect narrative is rather destructive, right? And then also, you know, he followed up the statement with saying, you know, like mental slavery and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So by no means do I agree with him that slavery was a choice. We understand that African people were brought here into slavery in chains, on boats. They were bought, they were sold, they were property. No one, I mean, seriously, like, that is a fact. And yes, they revolted. Some of them killed themselves. It's not like no attempts were made to get out of the situation. So to say that it's a choice, like, you've got it really, really wrong. And then, but the mental slavery component that he followed up with, my personal opinion is, yes, there is still mental slavery that exists and permeates within our culture. And that stems from those 400 years of the heinous crimes that were done to our people, right? Because when you are stripped away from your country into another place, bought and sold, you're being raped, your men are being beat, the women are being raped in front of the men, your children are taken away from you. There is a mental shift, like your psyche is re-altered, and those things are very destructive. Because on a simple note, when you think about children who have come from broken homes or people who have experienced traumatic things in their life, not even half as tragic as slavery, right? And not diminishing the things that people have experienced, but I just want to make the point that something even as simple as, you know, coming from a destructive home has so many effects on you, and it follows you throughout your life, right? So when you think about an entire people for 400 years that were destroyed mentally, right? Because physically we're still here, right? Like, we were able to ride the wave and we're still standing strong, and our people didn't die out. But the mental implications can still be felt and will probably felt for a long time. Now, his position is we shouldn't be harboring on that. We shouldn't always be looking backward. We need to be looking forward. Yeah, but if you don't know where you come from, then you don't know where you're going. You have to be reminded and be aware of the things that have happened to you, so that if anything in your future resembles that, you know how to deal with it, and you know the precautions and the actions that you need to take in order to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So when you say something like slavery is a choice, right, and it's being taught that slaves were brought here to look for a better life, then the young generation is growing up believing that lie, and they could go forth and not even be aware. Institutionalized racism and things like that is happening to them. They're not prepared to deal with it because they don't even know their history. So anyway, I digress, and I want to move on into all the other things that he talked about in the interview. He talked a lot about free thought and, free love. Okay, so I agree that free thought is something that is necessary. It is something that I think is being stifled. And the truth of the matter is, free speech is a part of the First Amendment. However, we understand that nothing is free. Nothing in life is free, right? And so you can talk all you want, but do be aware that you can have your point of view, and other people can have their point of view as well. So everybody can say what they want, right? The Bible says that everything is permissible. So talk as much as till your tongue falls out. Okay? But it also says that not everything is beneficial or constructive. So as far as the things that I say, I run my filter through that. Everybody doesn't have to do that because those are not their standards. However, when you want to say what you want to say, just be prepared to hear the things that other people are going to say back to you. Now, he also talked a lot about love and loving people and loving everyone. And I also believe that, right? Like, as a Christian woman, and with my standard being the Bible, God does call us to love everyone, because God is love. Now, let's be very clear about that, because in love and in anything, you need to exercise wisdom. And so my position with that is, yes, you can love people, right? Because the Bible says, how can you love me who you do not see, and hate your brother who you do see? Okay? So even anybody is worthy of love, regardless of the things that they have done. Now, you can love the person and not love the behavior, the actions that they have exhibited. Then you also have to exercise wisdom. And so you can love someone, but if their behavior and actions does not align with things that you believe in, then you certainly have the right to disassociate yourself from them. There's such a thing also as healthy and clear boundaries. So the reason I think that Kanye aligns himself with Trump is because they're basically one and the same, right? Their behaviors are neurotic. It's just, everything is like in a tizzy. There's no thought gone into it. They're irrational. It's just no filter, just shoot from the hip, right? Trump says what he wants. He's disrespectful. He doesn't care. He has no concept of anybody but himself. He tweets like a maniac. And Kanye does the same thing. Even the way they speak, when you can't even follow them in a conversation, which is why I'm saying, like, there are pieces in there that Kanye has said that if you give a thought, you could be like, all right, I see where you're talking about. But it's hard to follow through all of the antics and the manic behavior, So I do agree that, people's thoughts shouldn't be stifled, because everybody is different and they do have different thoughts and different opinions. And no, all Black people don't need to be Democrats, right? But as a people, I think the issue that we're having with Kanye is that you are aligning yourself with someone who is not for us as a people. And Democrat or Republican, as a people, this man does not care about us. And in the interview, the Candace Owens girl who's getting her 15 seconds of fame was in there too. And so she was having a conversation with Charles about, the laws that he's implemented to help black people. And, the laws that he's implemented have not affected black people negatively. And he's like, okay, but the things that he says, and I felt like he needed to be stronger because he couldn't give her a concrete answer on what exactly Trump has said about black people that was negative. And immediately I can think about what he said about Haitians and Africans. Are you kidding me? Like, he called them people, so they live in Hus, they all got AIDS, and they're from bleep hole countries. Why didn't Charles have that at his fingertip, Anyway, this girl, like I said, he's giving her her 15 seconds of fame. She is, she's aligned with that thought of, I'm not a victim. My ancestors fought for me to have this platform, and so I will not have victim mentality. No one's saying that you should have victim mentality, but again, I want to reiterate that you do need to know where you come from to know where you're going, which is why a lot of people have problems, because if you keep suppressing things and act like they don't even exist, then you don't necessarily deal with the root. You have to deal with the root. It's like when you have weeds in your garden, if you keep pulling out the weeds, and you leave the root, guess what? The weeds keep growing back. And that's an issue with slavery and racism in this country. It's that the root has not been cut out, right? And so the weeds are consistently going to be there. Moving on to the interaction that he had with Van Lathan, who I actually really enjoy. Like, I watch TMZ religiously, and I just really appreciate Van's point of view. I think he's very thoughtful, very thorough, very knowledgeable. Anyway, so his interaction with Kanye about that statement was just so powerful. And he used words with him like, I am disappointed, I am appalled, and I am hurt, because Van looked up to Kanye. Kanye inspired him, like old Kanye, not this person who he's like, yo, I do not know who you are right now. Like, you are not aware of the reality that we as a people living in. You're an artist, you're living your life, you're getting your money. Van is saying to him, like, you don't live in the reality. You don't understand the effects, of what our people are really going through, because you've got this status. And so a lot of things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, you don't necessarily experience. And so you're basically detached. And so he's saying that this reality was created, because Van is saying that, like his fundamentals and his beliefs are rooted in the reality, like are grounded in the reality that he lives on a day-to-day basis. And so Kanye is trying to say, well, like, no, the reality is created. And then he even goes on to say stuff like, when blacks kill blacks, it's like, we don't care. But the minute a white person kills a black person, like, there's marches, it's a Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. And it's so funny, because a neighbor of mine who's actually a black woman, she made that statement during, like, there was someone campaigning for some kind of office in our neighborhood, and like, they had the Black Lives Matter banner outside of the campaign office, and she and I were having a conversation, and she said to me, she said that very same thing, that it's interesting, and she actually conveyed that point to the person that was running for office, that it's interesting that when white people kill black people, there is all this uproar, Black Lives Matter, protests, all that. But the black on black crime that's consistently happening, ooh, what do we say about it? But Van was saying, it's not true. Like, yes, black on black crime is a thing, and it does need to be paid attention to. But to say that we are not up in arms about it is not accurate, because there are people in those places, like in the Chicagos and the Baton Rouges and in New York City and all those places where those things are happening. There are people on the ground, grassroots, pulling it up by their bootstraps, working diligently to eradicate these issues. But to his point, Van's point, they're not getting the recognition. So people like Kanye are not shouting them out in songs. They're not invited to places. No one knows about them. So the work that they're doing is not given the platform, right? And again, it goes back to kind of talking about the point of, about media and how, he was saying that we're controlled by the media. And I would agree with that, right? I mean, if we pay close attention, right? Every media outlet has its own agenda. There's either the Republican agenda, the Democratic agenda, and sometimes there's the independent in between. And so as a people, we need to kind of decipher for ourselves, like, what really is the truth, because these people are backed by different advertisers and people with particular interests, So, he wanted to hug with Van and all that stuff. He was like, brother, I apologize that I offended the black community by wearing this Make America Great hat, because that's how it all started to spiral. I mean, he was going out of control, for a very long time, but then he's wearing the hat and he's giving this girl Candace Owens the platform, and he's just saying all of these ridiculous things. And so people are up in arms. And I'm not going to sit here and say to you guys that everybody needs to have the same thought process. But I think that as a people, because he also made the point about that we need to fend for ourselves. And see, that is where the problem lies. I think fundamentally that is where the problem lies. I'm not saying all black people need to be Democrats. I'm not saying all black people need to be Republicans. But what I am saying, the fundamental issue of, as a collective, like, what works for the collective? Because the thing that he was talking about is like this individual thing. Like, if I go to the refrigerator and grab a bottle of water, I'm not getting you a bottle of water. The bottle of water is in there. Go get the bottle of water for yourself. And that is where the issue lies. And I think that that's why we have a lot of problems in the black community, because there's an individuality. And also when you attain certain levels of success like he has, he feels like, I don't need to reach back and help you out with anything, and that's how they get confused about it being a victim mentality. And it's not that, because the truth of the matter is we understand that we're better together. Like, it just makes sense. Nobody gets to where they are alone. It's just not true. But it's a weird kind of thinking about, I don't owe you anything. I don't have to look back and give you anything. And people are not always looking for a handout. But the reason other communities are able to thrive is because they do have community and they do work together. And there's a source of unity, and they understand the value in working together. So there was a lot there. He also talked about black men need to live up to this unrealistic idea of perfection. And again, because he's so manic and they didn't really even have time for that, I agree with that. I do agree that, yeah, black men have no room for error, because he's saying that, look at basically what I gather from that. He's saying, like, I'm falling apart in the media, and people are ripping me to pieces, rightfully so, because there are some things that he's saying that is ridiculous, right? But it's almost as if, like, he cannot recover from this. And because of that idea of perfectionism that black men have to live up to. And I've had conversations with my husband and other black men who feel that tremendous pressure to be perfect and provide for their families. And, just like, there's a lot of pressure around that, and Kanye has mental issues. He really does, and I'm not saying that to diminish him, because mental issues amongst African American men is such a taboo. There's such a crazy stigma attached to it, and it's something that definitely needs to be brought to the light. And I think that Kanye could be a great advocate for it, actually. He could be a great advocate for African American men with mental issues if he was aligned with the right people. Being a part of the Kardashian family is absolutely destructive. We've seen it happen with all of the men that they've been associated with. All of the men, black or white. Because Bruce, it was so, dang it. They drove him to want to be a woman because he understood that, that's the only way I'm going to survive, really. You know what I mean? Lamar Odom, now Kanye West, Tristan Thompson, you better beware. And the thought that I had, I felt like, you know what? Because think about this, guys. Like Chris Humphries, right? He married Kim, and it was like for 72 days or whatever, but he was able to get out. And I think the only reason that is because he has a family, like a mother and a father, and they were like, this is not going to work. We are going to snatch you from the pit, And when you look at a person like Lamar Odom, who drug father. I don't know anything about his mother. He himself, you know, got caught up in the drugs and stuff. Like, he didn't really have a solid support system. Destroyed. Kanye, mother died. He got caught up with Kim. Destroyed. It is a serious thing. And I think the only thing that Tristan Thompson has going for him is his little black mama is in his corner. Because when marriage was in a question with him and Chloe, his mother was like, you're gonna get a prenup. Even if she's making more money than you, it doesn't matter. You know, back to the Kanye thing and the perfectionism of men, black men, and mental illness. He could be a phenomenal advocate, right? But come on, John Legend, you got to snatch him, help him get out. Jay-Z, this is the time. Somebody rescue this man. He needs to get out. You know, but it was really funny, right? Because as he was having the conversation and Miss Owens, the Owens chick, she was trying to go in on John and Chrissy, and he was aware enough to reel it back in. I'm like, okay, don't go too far. These are my friends. I really feel sad for him because I have been a Kanye fan from the beginning. Jesus Walks. As a young model in the club, like, I would rock to his songs. One of my favorite songs from him, you know, the line is, you should be honored by my lateness that I would even show up to this lane. So go ahead, go nuts, go. Like, yo, Kanye was the man. His music was phenomenal. I met him as well. I remember when he was dating little old Alexis from Chicago. Do you guys remember that far back when he just came on the scene and he was not with the Amber Roses of the world and not connected with the Kardashians, honey? And he was just Kanye with the wired mouth, college dropout, giving us music for the culture, okay? And he's always been very egocentric and all of that, but he was a little woke back then. Now he is in the sunken place. Once he started getting bigger than his head can handle, I mean, and even him being with Amber, he was starting to spiral out of control. And ooh, she could tell us a lot of stuff, Amber. Wow, girl, I would like to hear from you. And then, you know, and then he went even deeper into the clink clink get out pit with Kim and her family. My gosh, I just really feel sad for him. You know, and let's have a moment for this liposuction conversation. Grown man up in here commanding the entire TMZ audience to listen to him spew crazy talk about him getting liposuction. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And that is all the Kardashian curse, right? That's all part of like Kardashian alignment. Because what man, I mean, you gaining a little weight. We saw that. But is it liposuction worthy? Like, can you not just work out? This is the pressure that when you are aligned with these people. And to know how your mother died due to complications of plastic surgery. Here it is because you are with the family of plastic surgery queens and kings, because Bruce did it too, okay? But this is how destructive they are. And, you know, he got on the opioids and he was saying that, you know, he was taking 2 and then he went from taking 2 to taking 7, and then, you know, being addicted to opioids and being, you know, mental health medication and just the mix. That is not the best combination. The other part that I observed that I was really disappointed in as well was the way he interacted with Charles, who is also like the co-host with Harvey on TMZ. You know, he like got up and said to him, you know what, maybe I should just talk to Harvey alone, because when the both of you talking, I'm distracted. And then when Charles was having a conversation with the Owens girl, he like walked across and talked into Harvey's ear, and he was like, okay, like, you and I are gonna go off to the side and talk. And I was just like, that is very inappropriate. You knew you were coming on TMZ. You know that you were going to be interviewed by Charles and Harvey. And if like you were meeting with Harvey weeks before and he was just in there having different conversations with you, if you felt like you wanted to come on live and you said to him, you know what, Harvey, I just wanted to be me and you, that's what you should have requested. But to go on here and to disrespect Charles, I did not appreciate that. I want to get to R. Kelly because, honey, hashtag MuteRKelly is a thing. The movement was started years ago by Orenike. Odeyele and Kenyatta Barnes. These two women have been calling for his music to be off the airways for a very long time and just like to mute him indefinitely. And many people have jumped on the bandwagon, including Tom Joyner, who has vowed to no longer play any R. Kelly music, and the Women of Color Coalition that has heavy hitters like Shonda Rhimes, Ava DuVernay, Viola Davis, Kerry Washington, just to name a few. But they are a part of the Time's Up movement, and they are calling for an investigation on R. Kelly. And all of this has resurfaced because BBC did a documentary called R. Kelly, Sex, Girls, and Videotapes. And I have to admit, as a very young girl in Trinidad, I saw those tapes. I had no business seeing it, but I did, of the inappropriate things that he was doing to young women. He married Aaliyah at 15 years of age. So all of these things are not shocking. It's just that time has caught up with him, much like what happened with Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein and all these men who have created this fantastic Time's Up Me Too movement. And so, you know, his bottom line is definitely being affected. Not only are people vowing to no longer play his music, but he is being canceled from performance gigs, and his ride or die women who have stood by his side for all of this time are no longer with him, like his publicist, his lawyer, his executive assistant. They have decided to call it quits with him. So listen, Wendy, you know, talked on her show recently about having a sit down with R. Kelly very late at night while she was on her get well hiatus. And he was candid with her. He shared a lot of things with her, things that she vowed to keep private. But she was asking the audience if they would disassociate themselves from her if she did a sit down with him. And I am a Wendy watcher, and I want to see this. I would actually love to be in the audience actually when she does an interview with him. I think that she should certainly do it because I would like to hear from him. Not to give him a platform to, you know, defend himself, but if she is able, and I think she is the person that would be able to really ask him those direct questions, and I would like to hear the answers to them. And someone that has a lot of answering to do is Nas. So Kelis did this interview, almost like a 2-hour interview with Hollywood Unlocked, and she was very open about the abuse that took place in their marriage. She claimed that it was very physical and also mental. I mean, there were times that they were, you know, fighting back and forth, and that he had been cheating on her for some time. What struck me as well was when she said, you know, what happened with Rihanna and Chris Brown just really hit her to her core, because she wasn't sure if she should speak out, what should she do, because at that moment she was sitting there with bruises on her body as well. Also, she aired the fact that he is very irresponsible with his money, is very clueless about how his money is being managed, what bank he banks with, and reports have recently come out that he owes over $300,000 in back taxes. So there's some truth to that. Apparently, he has not responded to any of these allegations yet. Whew, these men have taken up all my time, child. The Pop Talk has come to an end. I enjoyed having this conversation with you guys. I enjoyed coming to talk to you every week, and I would really enjoy it if you would subscribe, like, comment, and share, because I love to be with you on a weekly basis, and I want to hear your pop thoughts. I share mine with you, and I would like you to do the same. Please engage with me. I ask for you to do that in every video, and you're being a little shy, but this Kanye West, R. Kelly, and Nas, they are hot button topics, and I really want to hear your thoughts on them. So I'm waiting, and I'm looking at the comments, I'm looking at the subscriptions, I'm looking at the likes, and I'm also looking at the shares. And until next time, as always, darlings,